Hi, welcome to Haven. This is a podcast that's a safe space for curiosity and conversation. I'm your host, Haven, and today I'm curious about what's it like to be a teenager right now. What it's like to be a teenager right now, part 2. So this is a continuation of the last episode where we were getting into it and we just knew there's so much to unearth here that it needs to be a 2-parter so we can actually expand on it. So if you haven't listened to the previous episode, pause here, go get up to speed, and then come back. But if you already have listened, then you know my guest, 14-year-old Pearl. And what we're kicking it off with is the transition from childhood to being a teenager. There's so much that happens in that gap of just even 2-3 years. And one of the biggest shifts is actually dating. So you're 14. Are you allowed to date?
I am allowed to date. I've had one actual boyfriend.
What does a date mean? And is it just calling someone your boyfriend, girlfriend? Is it going out to a dinner? What does that mean?
Well, my situation was different because I met my ex-boyfriend at a camp I went to, and we were together for 3 weeks every day. And then we were long distance after, but my mom drove and we had dinner with the family stuff, and we went to an arcade, which was fun. And then we got dinner and we went swimming at my hotel. But yeah, that was our date. But as far as a date is going to the mall and walking around.
Just walking around.
Yeah.
Got it.
And also because I feel like people now, their definition of a date isn't you get all dressed up, and more people they like to do group dates, a double or a triple date where there's 3 of each, there's 3 girls and 3 boys, and there's a group the 3 girls, they're all best friends, and there's 3 boys and they're all best friends, and then you go and you guys all go out to get you can get Jack in the Box or something, random food, and just sit there and talk. I think that's the best date.
I love that. Do you want to hear my 14-year-old dating stories?
I do.
So I wasn't allowed to date. So I really don't have technical dating stories. I wasn't allowed to formally date till I was 16. Aaron, my actual husband, first boyfriend, snuck in 15 a couple months before I turned 16. But before then, he wasn't the first person to pursue me. I remember at camp, I went to a camp for a month. I was a sports camp, and I went. And it was co-ed. I remember this guy came up, and I think he asked me out, and I think I misheard him or something because I think I just said yes. I didn't really know what he was thinking. And then it was going around that we were dating. I ignored him for the entire month. I didn't ever break up with him. He would come to the pool and I would just swim to the other side. I just ran away from him because I just didn't want to talk to this guy. I didn't really mean to, but my 13-year-old self didn't have the heart to be I misheard you and I'm not your girlfriend. I just ignored him.
That's so funny.
It's pretty, I look back, I'm I really should have just broken it to him that I didn't know what he was saying. Or I got asked to a lot of school dances because wasn't allowed to date, but I could go to those. So I got asked to different school dances of different guys because I went to a pretty large church. So that whenever they had a dance, I'd be oh, that would be interesting. But I remember dancing with one guy who he really liked me, and I was so on him. I was just kind of feeling it out. I couldn't tell if I liked him back or if he gave me the ick. You know that line?
Yeah. 100%.
And so as we were at the dance, I realized, oh, you give me the ick. He kept trying to pull me closer when we were dancing, and I kept trying to move back. And eventually I stopped the dance, and I was I don't want to dance that close to you. I'd be preferred if we could just dance like this. And just pushed him away.
That's
and was
so funny.
Well, yeah, because I was stop hugging me. I don't want to hug you.
If also if a guy's being pushy about a date, it's just
he was not reading my body language. I will teach my son to read body language. But 100%. Also his school dance had mums. Do you know about these? It's a South thing. Where mums are these huge, obnoxious ribbons, and then you have to get the guys a garter. And I remember he asked me to this, and then his mom was asking me, what are your favorite colors? And I was I don't know. And it's because he was putting together this really expensive mum I had to wear to his homecoming game. And then I had to buy him a garter or whatever. I had to spend like $30. I was like, just give me the basic. Like, I don't even go to this school. And I remember it was like so bizarre. But that was kind of also, I know you said flex isn't a thing, but I'm going to use it. It was a flex of like how big your mom was. Like girls would have huge covering their bodies with a full blown teddy bear. I think it was a South thing. It was a little silly. So I mainly just have dance stories of dating. But like you talk about groups and group hangouts. We did a lot of group hangouts too. So like I think that's where it's kind of similar because no one can drive.
Yeah, one of my best friends, her boyfriend, so she has a twin sister, and they're like one of my best friends in the whole wide world, and one of them has a boyfriend, and so like we go and we'll like hang out at their house, and her boyfriend will come over like after school, and I'll be there too, and so me and her sister will go and we'll just hang out, like us two, and then we'll like leave them alone. But we're like, her mom thinks we're all like hanging out, but we'll sometimes go to like the bathroom and be like, I'll be like, oh, can you help me with my hair or something? And like, because they'll be like having like a cute little moment, and we're like, we're totally fourth wheeling, like this is so awkward. So we're like, oh, we're gonna go, we'll be right back, and we'll let them have their little moment. But I think that's like, I think it's less awkward if you all have a date like as a group. But I think it's cute that they have that.
Anything else on like dating, like that it feels like as a teenager or like?
Well, because most of the time also, as far as like if it's like a date, like most people just kind of want to like hang out. Like it's people like you want to hang out. Like if you're like, say you're like, oh, like you're my boyfriend, oh, you're my girlfriend. But the second that's like, oh, you want to hang out after school today? It's not like you want to go on a date, because it's not really like a date. It gets to the point where it's just like you guys are like best friends. It's more of like best friends, but like more fun.
I think that's so true. Like Aaron and I were like best friends for 2 years before we started dating. And I think that's also some of like the brighter side of like junior high and high school is like you get the opportunity to see people before you ever choose to date them.
Yeah.
Like you get to be their friend, you see how they treat people, you see how they behave. Like I feel like you don't get that in adulthood the same way, but it's like a real gift and a luxury that you get to like see that in groups where once you guys kind of go off, like even after college, it's just not the same for dating. Now a quick pause to hear from my sponsors. I saw a meme once that said that the hottest people have tummy issues, and it made me laugh because it's actually somewhat accurate of the people I know. I went on a health journey a few years ago to begin moving my body more and cleaning up what I ate, and when I was researching, probiotics kept coming up as a recommendation. The one that I take is created by Ritual. They made a 3-in-1 supplement with clinically studied prebiotics, probiotics, and a postbiotic to support a balanced gut microbiome. I take mine every morning on the way to the gym. It's just a part of my morning routine. Wake up, brush my teeth, eat a protein, and then take Synbiotic Plus as I head out the door. Ritual is rigorously tested and validated by a third party for allergens, microbes, and heavy metals, and they invested in a study modeling the human colon which showed Synbiotic Plus significantly increased microbial diversity and the growth of beneficial bacteria. Ritual multivitamins are vegan, non-GMO, project verified, gluten and major allergen free, certified B Corp, and made traceable. There's no more shame in your gut game. Synbiotic Plus and Ritual are here to celebrate, not hide your insides. Get 40% off your first month for a limited time at ritual.com/haven. This offer is only available through January 31st. Start Ritual or add Synbiotic Plus to your subscription today. That's ritual.com/haven for 40% off. This episode is brought to you by Efficienade. Efficienade offers fractional virtual assistants whose sole purpose is to help people who are making a difference. Are you bogged down in your email and still managing your own calendar? Delegating those tasks to a high-caliber career assistant can free you up to utilize your time towards the areas of your best and highest use, allowing you to focus on the areas you truly thrive in. Learn more at efficienade.com. That's efficient, AIDE.com. Okay, back to the episode. The shift from childhood to teenager. What age do you think that is happening nowadays? Like, is it actually from 12 to 13 or is it even kind of sooner?
I think it's sooner. Personally, I think when I turned like 11 is when I really felt like teenager, because I feel like it's not even like 12. It's like, it's kind of like when you start middle school, I feel like, or like even 5th grade too. It's just because like you're feeling you're you're growing up and you're realizing like, oh, like now I have to like start caring about school, and like it's kind of like out of elementary school. Like, I mean, I don't really remember elementary school, but I remember like liking it a lot. Like I remember thinking it was like fun.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like I wish I could go back on that, because now it's so like the difference between like childhood to teenager is so like drastic. I feel like, but you don't feel like it's drastic until it like hits you one day. You're like, oh, like that's like crazy. Like I did like this like so long ago, but it doesn't feel like that.
I remember at lunch, you were even telling me of like the things that get introduced either between 5th and 6th grade, or even, yeah, just that time before junior high. It's also substantially where like, you know, a kid got drunk for the first time, and then, you know, kids who are vaping. So like things that they get introduced to early on at like even 11 are happening before they hit middle school even.
Yeah. And I think that's also partially like if they have like older siblings, and like it also kind of like depends like the parents, or like how like sneaky they are, because most of the times the people with the parents who like let them do whatever they want are pretty good kids. Yes, they are like crazy sometimes, but they're like for the most part like they know their limit and they're pretty good. The kids who parents are really strict and get on them about stuff, they're the like crazier ones.
It sounds almost like the chicken and the egg of which came first. Like, do you feel like the kid was crazy and then the parents became super strict? Do you feel like the parents always started super strict? And
it really depends. I feel like it's kind of like you never know. It can be either or.
What would a parent do in that situation when they feel like their kid's like wiling out and like going and having access to all of this stuff? Like, I think the natural grip would to have a tight grip and to try and remain control. Like, what would another alternative route look like to you?
Well, conversations, in my opinion, are always like awkward. Like, I think it's so like you're like being put on the spot. It's a whole thing. I feel like if you bring what you want, like if you want to find out something, like ask, but don't do it in a way where you're like, so tell me about this. Like, just be like I'm interested. Like, I'm genuinely like curious. Like, what's going on in your life right now? And like, I think it's important that if your kid needs you and it's like a serious situation, like make them comfortable enough to be able to tell you. Like make it an option for them to be able to be like, mom or dad, like I like this happened, like I need you. Because they will like if they'll tell you like a small piece of information that like happened, if they're like, oh, like by the way, like this kid like kicked me today, and you freak out, they're not going to tell you anything, because they're gonna be like, no, like I handled it, like I don't want you to do anything. But then if you do something, they're not going to tell you anything. So I think it's important to be like, okay, well, like, do you have this? Like, or do you got this? Like, do you need help? Do you need support? And they'll tell you if they do.
Yeah. What would like a safe and comfortable environment? How could a parent create that so their teen would feel like they could tell them things?
I feel like it's kind of depends on the teen. Like, it depends on like what they're comfortable with. Like, I mean, for me personally, like, my mom, like, I feel like I can pretty much tell her anything, like, without her like getting upset or anything, and which I think is like important. And I kind of like it can be awkward, but some things were like, I'm like, I need to tell her. Like, I need to explain it all to her so that she like knows, because most of the time, if they're gonna tell you something, they'll tell you the whole thing. So then they don't. Well, at least that's for me.
What are some of the pressures that come up for you that you face that you feel like, okay, I can handle this? And what would be something that's a big pressure that you're like, I need to invite my mom into it?
As far as pressures goes, like, I don't really get peer pressured personally. And as far as like my mom, like, I think my mom, I thank her for this, but she kind of raised me to the point where like I don't need to be like, oh, I need my mommy for everything. I kind of like, I can handle myself like in a situation where I need to. Like, as like the things that are pressures nowadays, I think have kind of always been like, I mean, like, I don't know, but like drinking and like drugs and kind of like sexual activity as well is kind of like pressures. And I know like I can handle myself in those situations. Like, I don't need to be like, Mommy, like, I need you to, like, call these people. Like, if I'm in a situation where I feel pressured, I'll just leave.
I think that's great.
But also to add on to that, like, at the same time, like, if I do screw up, I know my mom has told me, like, if I ever am in a situation where I need her, like, if I slip up and I get drunk at a party or something, like, I know I can call her. She says, like, she'll pick me up, no questions asked, wherever I am.
I think that's great. I think I've also heard of parents who just say, we will always pay for an Uber. So if you're ever in a situation, like, you can absolutely Uber, no questions asked, it would be on us, or those kind of things. But this next question, by the way, is going to be a little loaded. So if you're listening in the car with little kids, just pause it or come back to it. But it's not for little ears. But suicidal ideation is really big with teenagers.
Yeah.
And I heard somewhere where it was saying that, like, growing up in past generations, the threat when it was these feelings are bigger than me, I need you to understand how big they are to me. The threat was then, I'm going to run away from home. I'm going to run away from home. That was kind of like the parachute that they would pull, where they would pack their bags and go down the street or go away. Like, that was the, hey, I need you to know how severe it is. Nowadays, the I'm going to run away from home threat is, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to hurt myself. I'm going to harm myself. And it's a way to express, like, I'm feeling something so big and you don't understand how big it is unless I say these words. But obviously those words have a way deeper impact with the actions follow through of, it's not walking down the street with a suitcase. It's actual deep self-harm. And so have you seen, like, when your friends are going through that, does it feel like it's more of a topic? Does it really feel like it's, few and far between? I'm hearing about it more frequently, and I also can't tell if that's because we have access to more communication or if it is kind of an epidemic.
I think I know, like, as far as, like, the running away thing, like, that's a thing that people do, like, all the time. It's not more of a, like you were saying, like the, like, equivalent to, like, I'm gonna kill myself. It's more of a, like, oh, like, I'm running away because I'm not in a safe family environment. Like, I know people who have gone through that, and it's really, it's sad, but it's just, like, it's become, like, a normal, like, people will, like, freak out and be like as they should, and, like, put up missing signs and be like please help me find this person, and then you'll find out they just ran away, and they didn't want to be found, really, which is, like, it's, like, the sad truth, But most of the time, you're not going to hear someone be like, I'm so sad I'm going to kill myself, like, right now. Like, no one's just going to, like, outwardly say that, because it's a hard thing to, like most of the time it's, like, hard to comprehend and stuff, and it's just more of, like, a, like, I'm so sad, let me just silence myself as far as feelings go and just do whatever I want for, like, because I don't care anymore. And then finally, like, people will just,
So it goes to, like, apathy first and numbing before it goes to actions or even the words about the actions.
Right.
So that's maybe, like, the warning signs.
Yeah.
Is the just being apathetic.
And kind of not caring anymore.
Yeah.
And just, like, a mood change.
What would your take be to parents to support their child who is either apathetic or has said those words or is just dealing with mental health issues?
I think asking your kid or whoever even, like, what can I do for you? I think that's a really, like, because half the time they'll know exactly what you can do for them. Other half the time, like, they'll have no idea. For me personally, if I'm, like, feeling sad or down, I like to be alone. And I'll tell, like, my mom, though, she's the opposite, and she likes to be, like, surrounded by people, and she also likes to make sure I'm okay. And I had to explain to her, like, Mom, like, I love you, but when I am feeling these feelings, I like to be alone. And so she kind of learned to, like, accept that, and I'm, like, very grateful for it. But I think asking your kids is important.
It sounds like that's a good transition even into the parenting likes and dislikes of what are you liking about how your mom is parenting you, and then what's something that you're just like, I'm not into this, I'm frustrated, I wish it was done differently.
things that I do like is kind of like the way I was brought up. She kind of like raised me to be more like I can handle myself. I can like I was kind of smarter than other kids, like as far as like street smart wise.
Mhm.
When I was young, I learned my mom's phone number before I learned most of the words that I knew. Because she was like, if you're ever in a situation, I want you to be able to say my phone number as fast as you can to the person, like as slow as you can, or just like right off the top of your head.
Brilliant.
So most of the time, like I've known like my mom's phone number is like my second word essentially. So I think that was good. Also, like I was always able to have my own opinion in things, which I think is important. Something I don't like is there's few times that my mom has said this, but I think this is like a kind of an overall is like, because I said so. I do not like that. I think it's so like especially, I mean, I'm going to be an adult in 4 years. I'm not going to take like because I said so as an answer.
Mhm.
I think if you're going to say no or like say something to someone, you should have a reasoning behind it. I think that's important. And also this is kind of like a everyone thing. Like I think some kids do get annoyed when they don't want, like when their parent is like, can you clean your room?
Mhm.
Like most of the time they'll get to it when they get to it. But like just like the constant asking is kind of annoying. And I get it, like your room should be clean, but some of the time like kids like their room that way sometimes and they'll get to it, just don't ask all the time.
What is an alternative that you think parents should say instead of like clean your room all the time?
I mean, like they can start small, like, hey, like when you get the chance, could you like pick up around here a little bit? And if they don't, like give them some time because there's probably a reason why they're not doing it.
Mm-hmm. So like to like have more of a conversation about it and hear their side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Is there ever an appropriate time in your eyes for a parent to say, because I'm the parent and I say so?
If it's like safety things.
A safety thing?
Yeah. But no, not really.
It is like the old phrase of like, well, because I'm the mom and I said so. It used to kind of just be the cap of.
But now I think people are more like, we're like evolved more. And I think it's more like, can you give me a reason if you're going to like do this, like say something?
Okay, well, give me a little banter back and forth. Because if you're a parent and someone like your child is asking why this or why this, and you keep giving reasons and then they combat it with arguments, what ultimately is the closer? Is it just, hey, we're going to have different opinions here, but we need to err on my side? Or I feel like parents usually say that if they're kind of at the end of like, I've given you my thoughts and we just disagree. So what would the alternative be?
I think listening to your kids when they argue, because most of the time, because I think parents have it set in their mind when they don't want their kid to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But if you listen to their side of the story, they could actually like be something you could be like, oh, okay, maybe I'll think about that.
So just listening. You feel like you don't like it when you don't feel listened to.
Yeah.
Like if
being
you're gonna
heard is such an important thing.
Yeah. So if they're gonna say no, at least they heard you.
Yeah.
And took
like,
that into account.
I mean, my mom and I like, I'll have an example. I have my belly button pierced, and I asked my mom originally, and she was like, no. Because I had just straight up been like, can I get my belly button pierced? She's like, no. And I was like, okay, well, can you listen to me first? Like, can I give you my reasoning? And I did have reasoning. Like, it's like I have like a reason. Like, it's not for anyone else. It's for me, just for like self-confidence and stuff. And I was really appreciative, even though like people like look down on her for it. And they're like, you let your daughter get a belly button piercing at 13. Like, but it was kind of like a big, like, I like was like, thank you, Mom. Like, I appreciate it. Like, I was happy that she like did let me do it in the end.
Is there any kind of closer thought of what do you want parents to know about this generation of teenagers?
Let us grow. Don't slow us down by saying certain things. Like the world is evolving every day in technology and like in just like people in general, in like medicine. And I just think it's important to like listen to your kids, because a lot of the times they have really good ideas.
What would be like an example of how a parent you would feel would slow you down and what you want them to change?
Like, well, in my English class, we're learning about like arguments right now. And we were like, our journal today was like, do you think, like, argue with me right now, my teacher said this, like, about why you should have a new phone. And everyone said really good ideas in my class. Everyone was like, well, like, the technology's evolving and I should be with the technology, with my generation. And I just think, like, stuff like that, just like, yeah.
Listening, it
Yeah.
sounds like. It
Listening.
sounds like the undertone
being heard is the most important thing.
Is feeling heard.
Yeah.
Feeling heard. That's great. Thank you for jumping on here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was so fun.
Yeah, I really mean it. It feels like I got a glimpse into just we're in the same world, but it's really different experiences and different tracks of it.
100%.
So there's a lot that's similar, but there are also a lot of new things that are different and that are moving faster. Exactly. I feel like it's a faster pace.
Yeah.
As every generation comes, things move faster, but I feel really enlightened to have heard your take. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Overall, thank you for joining and listening with us. I know that I learned so much of what is it like to be a teenager right now. Like, we've all kind of been through the messy, clunky teenager years, but it was different pressures and different experiences. So I really wanted to hear of, like, what is it like now in this day and age? So I appreciated you joining us. And for those of you listening, I'm excited to go and explore other topics like this in the future. If you have topic suggestions or requests, you can email them to hello@havenpod.com. I'd love to consider and explore them. Other than that, I have an email newsletter you can sign up for at havenpod.com. And signing off from my last episode, Pearl approved all of this verbiage, which is like, follow, subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. But then also please rate and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That really helps me get out there even more. But I appreciate you guys listening to this, and stay tuned. I'm excited to cover some more topics like this in the future. See ya.